I'm born in Montevideo, Uruguay. I'm
the youngest of 9 children. I come from a very big Catholic family. My relatives gave me the love of entrepreneurship, the love of always improving our life conditions and our country. My father worked as a civil engineer. I always remember my father at dinner. Everyone came together, and my father would sit at the head of the table and tell us stories about his work. One weekend, I went with my father to his office to send a telex. The telex is very old now, but it was the way of communication back then. Though I didn't really learn how to use the telex, I had this kind of beautiful moment where my father was challenging me to learn what's possible. Now, when I think about him, I'm really grateful that he taught me that. I think I do what I do today because he provided me the fundamental belief and conviction that it is possible to do things. My mother was a very agreeable woman. She was always at home and always cleaning. She was always saying that people threw their trash in the street. Even she could have just told her cleaning woman to pick it up, but she was the one who would go out and sweep it up. She did it herself. She was a woman with a great sense about what it means to live a very healthy life. My mother is the one who taught me to care for waste. When I went to the university, I decided to study chemistry. It was magical. I fell in love with chemistry because life has shown me that chemistry and human beings are very, very related. While studying at the university, I worked with a priest and with girls who lived in very poor neighborhoods where informal waste gathering and waste reclassification was the main income. The priest taught us that their work was not a problem, but that it was part of the solution. I got my first job in the pharmaceutical industry while I was still a student in 1984. Working in the industry, I was increasingly shocked by how a lot of practices did not have common sense. They only had commercial sense. I worked for 12 years for the same company, which was the biggest pharmaceutical company in Uruguay at the time. I worked in quality assurance. Our facility was next to an irregular settlement, that is, a poor neighborhood with a little river running through it. One time I was told I had to destroy tons of packages of old vitamin C, so we put them into the sewage. Then something very crazy happened. Because the vitamins were effervescent, enormous bubbles started coming up from the sewage pipes. It was shocking. Another time, I had to put hazardous waste, including lead and arsenic, into the sewage. It was so shocking for me. I became so worried after I did it that I started looking to see if there were dead dogs or something like that. Terrible things were happening. There were no regulations or processes for dealing with industrial waste in Uruguay at the time. But the idea that it is possible to change things, that came back to me. Both events convinced me that I had to quit my job. In 1994, my husband Ruben and I decided we needed to create our own job. We believed that chemists could be entrepreneurs, not only employees. So we decided to develop an industrial waste management company that was closely aligned with our goal to create jobs with dignity. The main idea for our company was for it to be a social business, reflecting both environmental and social practices equally. We wanted to create an economically viable company inside of our national markets. We're currently running a hazardous waste disposal company called Triax, located in an old meatpacking factory in Montevideo. Triax's mission is to safely manage hazardous waste. We extract value from some of the waste products and promote the reduction of hazardous waste overall. It is the way that we're contributing to Uruguay's sustainable development, and it includes establishing regulatory and financial systems for waste. Even though there's still so much to do, I think that we have succeeded in changing the way our country relates to hazardous waste. The pharmaceutical company which I used to work for is now our client, and we are leaders in the sector. We are not a typical environmental service company because we have put a lot of our energy into people. To me, it's the same thing to be in touch with people as it is to be in touch with materials. Our current state of consuming materials and exploiting people is exhausting both. In my understanding, a change maker is someone who has both the capacity and opportunity to make the world a little better than how they found it. We have to dive in, submerge ourselves. We have to do what we can. A lot of time during the process of building our business, Ruben and I said, "This is too much." But something always happened that reminded us that we couldn't give up. Whenever we were at the breaking point, somehow, I don't know how, some news came that made it impossible to stop. We received clear signs that this was our path. I may not be the most excellent waste manager in the world, but my work is the change-making that I am doing in my country.